Jury in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial is done for the day. After deliberating for at least 8 hours, they will report back tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. Rittenhouse could get life in prison if convicted, but the jury could consider a lesser offense for some of those charges. We have team coverage as we wait for a decision, starting with Eric Franke, who is live in Kenosha, where protests have been going on all day. Eric, how's it going there now?
Well, Charlotte, it has been pretty quiet here for the most part. There were a group of maybe 25 to 30 folks that had gathered around the Kenosha County Courthouse steps by mid-afternoon. That grew about 4 o'clock to about 50 people and then kind of dissipated. They made a couple of laps around the square here in downtown Kenosha. But, you know, there's a pretty extensive layer of law enforcement here to keep things secure, starting with Kenosha City Police. County deputies are here as well, and they've made their presence known. Not a heavy police presence, but they are definitely there and making it known that they're going to do what they need to do to keep things secure around here. And of course, the National Guard also on standby just outside the city limits. The governor doing everything he can as well to make sure that the calm remains in the event of a verdict, which you mentioned. They'll continue their deliberations in the morning now. We just received word of that. Here's the quote from the governor asking all those who choose to assemble and exercise their First Amendment rights in every community to do so safely and peacefully. The governor offering that on his Facebook page earlier today, and that's in addition to mobilizing those 500 National Guard troops earlier in the week. Now, Kenosha's gotten a little better at handling these kind of large-scale events. This was new to them a year or so ago, but county officials and city police also working together over the course of that last year. The statement from a joint statement, if you will, from the county authorities as well as the city police mentioning that they have made a coordinated effort over the last year to improve response capabilities to large-scale events. That's one of the reasons they have decided to keep all these roads open. And for Kenoshans that we spoke to a lady who lived a block off the square here. She's concerned. She moved from L.A., where she dealt with the Rodney King riots in the early 90s, hoping she'd never have to deal with anything like that here in Wisconsin. But she was noticeably concerned and wasn't sure if she wanted to stay around here in the event of something unfolding that she didn't want to see. So it's definitely a sense of anxiety from some of the residents, the business who have no dog in the fight. They really just want to move on after the repairs and the improvements they've made since the damage was done a year ago. Now, the other component of all this is the legal side of things, and we got a better sense of how that's going to work out. Brady Mallory talking to folks as the rest of the state and really the country wait for the legal proceedings to unfold here. And we go to Brady Mallory with more on the legal side of things. Brady?
All right, we've been hearing from defense attorney Jessa Nicholson, who worked briefly on the Rittenhouse case early on. Given the fact it went on for about 2 weeks, she says the jury may not be done going through everything in the trial until tomorrow or even on Thursday. Nicholson says there's a lot to consider when deciding whether Rittenhouse provoked the shootings or was defending himself. She believes the prosecution finished strong during its closing argument. We also asked her about some of the more interesting aspects of the logistics of the trial, like the fact the jury isn't sequestered. She says there could be a few reasons, including studies that have shown sequestering a jury can be expensive and even emotionally taxing.
It can trigger traumatic experiences that account for PTSD sometimes. So I know that the courts go to great lengths to try and give alternative instructions to allow people to be with their families in the evening. The result of that is there's more opportunity for them to overhear something that they've been instructed not to.
And earlier we saw Kyle Rittenhouse use a raffle tumbler to randomly eliminate 6 reserve jurors. Nicholson says the selection is done by lottery, but says this is the first time she's seen a defendant make the selection. Nicholson is standing by and will continue to weigh in once we do get that verdict.